Hi, guys, and welcome to episode 20 in our series on how to sell a business. If there's one thing that stops a deal getting completed, it has to be the massive divide from how much a buyer is willing to pay for a business versus how much a seller believes that their business is worth. In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can sell the business but still get the price you want for it. My name's Wayne, and I've been growing and selling 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses in this sector for more than 25 years. What I'm most interested in now is helping you to do the same. I sit across from business owners, and assuming the various issues that we talked about are fixed, then the biggest obstacle to completing a sale is price. We'd all like to live that billionaire lifestyle, living on our own private island, but the simple truth is a small business is just a small business. Small businesses are risky. The shares can't be bought and sold easily. There aren't that many buyers out there. This is why when you compare the valuation multiple of a small business compared to a large corporate, the numbers are much smaller in comparison. I'm not here to stroke your ego and tell you whatever you want to hear. I'm only here to tell you about the real world when it comes to selling your business. I don't need you to like me, or I'm not going to try and sell you anything. All I hope is that the information I give you in these videos, you take it and you use it to your advantage to get what you want. I'm only here to help you achieve that end goal and help you to move on. If you want someone to tell you whatever bullshit you want to hear, then go to an overpriced business broker. But if you want to actually sell your business and move on with life, I'm here to help you to do that. If you really want to sell your business and move on with your life, you have 3 options. You can go with the broker, put that high price tag on the business, and waste a lot of time talking to people but never actually closing the deal. You can accept a realistic valuation based on what other similar companies like yours have already sold for. With this route, it obviously depends on the market timing as to how many potential buyers are out there and whether they have access to the cash that they need. In a downward market or a recession, there are much less buyers out there. Or you can use option 3 and look at other ways to increase that valuation and have buyers that are comfortable to pay that increased price after the work has been done. You might remember I talked in a previous video about a company called BizBuySell. They analyzed thousands of businesses that sold across the developed countries of North America, Europe, the UK, and Australia. They produce reports detailing what the average sale across every industry goes for, and so we can use that as a good guide of how much a small business is worth in today's market. So one thing you might find interesting is how the profit multiple changes as the business gets bigger. There's one very big reason for this, and it's about risk. A buyer knows that the larger a business is, the more chance that it can survive longer term. If you have a small business with a few employees, the business is at greater risk if one of those clients leave or if one of the staff leave. And perhaps in that scenario, it might even be the staff member leaving and taking the clients with them. Compare that to a larger business, there's a lot more staff and there's a lot more clients. If one client leaves, in theory, it shouldn't have a huge impact on the business. So here's a sales price analysis comparing the different sizes of business and how that average multiple changes as the business gets bigger. So this is a rule of thumb across service-based businesses. So you can see that for businesses with less than 1 million in revenue, the valuation multiple is around 1 times profit. Between 1 million and 2 million revenue, it goes up to 2 times profit. Between 2 million and 5 million revenue, it's around 3 times profit. For businesses with between 5 million and 10 million in revenue, the multiple goes up to 4 times profit. And then for businesses with between 10 million and 25 million in revenue, it goes up to 5 times profit. And this scale continues up the bigger that you get. As you get over that 25 million revenue threshold, the larger you become, the larger the pool of buyers gets. They say it's easier to raise 100 million than it is to raise 1 million. This is a perfect example of that. There are more people at the top of the food chain looking for places to invest their money. And that means if you're at the top end of that scale, you can get buyers fighting over the deal so the valuation increases without having to do very much. Obviously, this is for a business selling in an average market. For example, the multiple might go down slightly in a recession when there's less buyers. And likewise, it might go up slightly in a booming market when there's more buyers around. But it isn't going to go up massively. If you imagine these are figures for the middle of a market cycle. At the peak of the cycle, it might go up by 20%. And likewise, in a recession, it might go down by 20%. Now, these are the rules of the game. We can't complain about the rules. This is just what you should expect to get as a small business in each of these size brackets. So now we know the rules to the game. How do we go about trying to win that game and get what we want? Well, the simple answer to that is we create a business at the higher end of the scale. Over the last 10 years, I've grown more and more frustrated watching business brokers selling a dream to business owners, but never delivering on that dream. They tell you you're going to sell your business, then you can retire and live that billionaire lifestyle. This is translated to me sitting with a business owner and struggling to reach a deal based solely on ridiculous expectations that the business broker has planted in the owner's mind. I'm sick of wasting my time. I want to help you to move on. If you go down to a local car dealership, you find a car that you like, would you pay twice what the car is worth? Would you pay twice the market value for that car? What if it had a few extras on it? Maybe some nice paintwork, some bigger wheels. Is it worth twice the market value now? No, of course not. But this is exactly the same with a small business. Now, obviously, during this time of negotiating deals with business owners, I've worked out that actually I don't want to give someone a huge chunk of money to effectively buy their problems from them. But what I do want is to help you move on to the next chapter in your life. So how do we do that? It's called a package sale, and it follows on from what we discussed in the previous videos. So you want to sell, and so do lots of other business owners just like you. You want a higher than market valuation, and so do lots of other business owners just like you. Your business probably has a few issues that need fixing, and so do lots of other business owners just like you. By using a packaged sale, we can achieve all of those things. Let's talk about how this works using a real company example. We're talking to lots of people every day, both directly and through my network. I'm probably talking to 10,000 people a year. So what is a package sale? In simple terms, it's just creating the perfect deal for a buyer. And what does the perfect deal look like? Well, it has to have some level of scale to it. Ideally, you're looking at having 1 million or more in profit. It will have a management team in place to run things. It will be properly diversified across clients and sectors. It will have accounts and systems in place. and it will have some kind of business plan and someone driving that plan. If you've got all of this bundled into a nice package, then you can get that higher valuation. So how do we achieve all of those things from where you are right now? Here's an example of how a package deal is put together. You can see in this example, I've used companies with almost the exact same levels of profit to keep it simple, but in reality, they don't need to be the same, though it's best if they aren't wildly different in size, as that helps if you've got issues with things like diversification of clients and sectors like we discussed in the last videos. So you can see that individually, each of their profit figures are around that 300,000 level. Now combined, these make up the packaged 1 million profit, which we can then go on and sell to the larger buyer. These companies remain independent. We don't put them together in an official group structure. All that we do is we create a consolidated set of accounts where we take the latest set of accounts from each business and we just add up all of the numbers to create this collated picture for any target buyer. If the buyer wants the businesses grouped, we just form that on the day of the sale completion. Otherwise, we just leave each business as it is. For the buyer, it really depends on if they have local management already or if they have another business that they can bring your business into. Now, if you imagine, if we look at each of those businesses individually, assuming they can achieve a sale, it's going to be at that 3x multiple or lower. But as part of a package sale, like we've already talked about, the profit hasn't changed, but because the overall deal is much bigger, the multiple has jumped too. The concept of putting companies together as part of a group and then selling them has been around for a while. It's mainly used in the world of private equity and is what's called a roll-up. The difference is with a roll-up, the private equity company buys a business at a lower multiple, spends time running and growing the business, which might take 3 to 5 years. They put it together with other businesses and then they sell the whole thing. In that scenario, it's the private equity firm that takes that extra in value. So you might say, well, why don't we just do the same? And that's a good question. It all comes down to timing. Yes, we can wait around for 2 years, waiting for business owners to eventually sell the business at the real market value. Then have that time needed to get to know the business, bring in our own management team, fix the issues. But it might take 5 to 10 years to reach that sale doing it that way. The difference between the private equity model is the target companies that they buy are already much larger. The average size deal for them might be 30 or 40 million in revenue. So they already have all of those issues fixed. They have management teams in place. They have a good client diversification. With a small business, you don't have all of those boxes ticked. And that's why it takes so long to do it in the same way as a private equity larger deal. If we can do it, but do it as partners with you, it cuts out that initial lag time of negotiating a deal, and we don't have to get involved in running the business. So automatically we've saved at least 3 years on each deal. That way you get the increase in value, but rather than doing 4 or 5 deals a year, we can do hundreds of deals in the same time frame because we don't have to get involved in running the business. Our value comes in putting that package together and talking with potential buyers every day. So what are the next steps? Well, make sure you've watched all our videos in the series as we go into a lot of detail and can probably answer any questions you might have about it. But everything starts with having a conversation about your business to see how things can work for you. In the meantime, thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next episode.